Okay, abusuya bɛ mma kɔ aba sonko so ɛreba POG Media so abusuya yɛmbonra ɛyɛ yɛnsɛm mu no Cecilia no Ken Oforiata Akuffo asem aba Cecilia no Cecilia Dapaa the case nso aba Cecilia no she set to be declared wanted abusuya OSP are ready ne NDC for are ready Cecilia the case no Cecilia the case no ye ba bigina so na say prosecution no asha ase ye declare Oforiata wanted no Cecilia Dapaa and ye next to be declared na ono so akwakoyi ne nsema no Cecilia no OSP ne NDC ne John Dramani Mahama omwani abriya enye asem keto akrabusuya nsem me no yenko na yenko nkuti ensema ekos Ken Oforiata ho nsem no so no ye de bebremo bedemas na ansa na ebeko no o ensem kan bi afahye ye comment section like share ma for so ensa into me enkabi bedemas
misplaced or uninformed, for the lack of a better expression. The National Cathedral expenditure, that's one case that the Special Prosecutor references against Ken Oforiata. A total of $58 million spent on the National Cathedral project. Not much to show for it, despite widespread public criticism, and also the board members' allowances they received over 31 months. That's an issue that the Special Prosecutor referenced. The next case, the $108 million ambulance scandal for $34.9 million was allocated for the spare parts for 307 ambulances. And you call this is something that we've been having conversation on continuously here on Key Point. Lawyer Digital Maclo, some located to Ablakwa have been on this particular one consistently. We've all seen how this played out. The next matter, the ECG Beijing Yangcheng technology contract. And this, the fundamental concern in there was how this was abruptly terminated under unexplained circumstances, at least as we speak, raising some matters of transparency as to what exactly led to that termination. And SML, the GRA SML monitoring deal. And that's one of the reasons why we have the man who led the team at the Fourth Estate to do this investigation on the SML, Manasseh Azurawuni, with us this morning. The next matter, the final, as well as we see it, and these financial commitments that were made, and also these projected fees under 2023, that 5-year duration of 5.1 billion cedis. These are the issues that the Special Prosecutor referenced in the case of Ken Oforiata. I'll start off with you, Mary Addo, on this, because fundamental questions come to the fore as to the OSP's declarations and then also these cases, the timelines of some of these cases. But hearing the OSP this week and what he said specifically about the former finance minister and then also Mustafa Hamid as lawyer Ejudita Maklo's predecessor, how did all of this strike you because of your knowledge of these cases?
Thank you. I believe that the Special Prosecutor's Office is set up to prosecute an agenda, and that is to investigate and prosecute corruption and corruption-related offenses. And this has no timeline, and he is no under any compulsion to rush anything and bring it out. And so the OSP has gone through the issues. I remember when the Fourth Estate did, particularly on the SML issues, they submitted a complaint to him to investigate and also substantiate some of the issues. And so he coming out now perhaps may be an issue for people believing. I've heard some talk about the issues of transitions and he not being too comfortable, perhaps the fear of being removed. I think he has a fixed tenure, which is 7 years if you read the law. And so no one is going to, I don't think anybody is thinking about terminating his appointment. The relevance of setting up the office, again, for me, is one that is crucial and we must all pay attention to. And some of us championed it in the beginning, we did a lot of work and made inputs into it, still remain valid. And that is because Article 88.4, which gives the powers of prosecution to the Attorney General, had been negatively impaired because of the discussion or the argument that the Attorney General is not able to prosecute his own or those in government. Then the constitutional limitation of certain objects. In other dispensations, you see that we have an office of Attorney General and then a separate office for the Minister of Justice. So the Minister of Justice can do his political work, but the Attorney General is constitutionally mandated to be the lawyer of states. And until such a time that we have the decoupling of this rule, the validity of the office of the special prosecutor to prosecute that agenda remains valid for me. However, civil society, we've had a lot of issues in the past. We've spoken to them on timing, on how some of the investigations the office is working on have progressed. Let's also remember that these are issues that go to court and they delay. And so we have had a lot of challenges on how the speed with which investigations are done, and also the challenges of how cases have been thrown out. That is the limitation of the law. We need to prove beyond reasonable doubt that people are guilty. And so the OSP has been set up, and now they have the full complements of the office. They have staff, so there is no excuse to say that they are not doing their work. So let's all agree that at this point, the OSP has finished his investigations, and they feel, or they have proof, evidence that the former finance minister and also the other gentleman, Mustafa Hamid, have a case to respond to, and so they are inviting them to come. And in this case, I remember interactions have shown that they have tried within their capacity to get the finance minister to show up. They've taken certain steps to ensure that he complied. However, my challenge is if the issues had already been identified, how did we make him leave the country in the first place? And we are now asking that he comes. But if they have taken the steps which their mandate spells out to get the persons to come, and the lawyers have impeded the process, or the lawyers have indicated that the gentleman is sick and cannot come. Number one, I ask, is there anything wrong with the OSP making arrangements to contact the gentleman there? I believe they can travel on the state's budget to speak with him. Unless, of course, we just want to arrest him. And that as well, I believe, can be done, because under the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, we have a very nice protocol for international cooperation. And the OSP's office has done that before, working on the Cecilia Dapaa case, which didn't show much results for all of us, or our expectations were doused in a way. So the issue of international cooperation and also mutual legal assistance come in, where they could have also looked at exploring the possibility of working with Interpol, or striking deal with the international bodies which we have agreements with, and I believe the UK is one of them. So for me, these issues come up, but then the fact that the OSP's job must be done is one that is very clear we cannot go away from. If there is culpability being established, the persons who need to respond must come and then respond to these issues, because that is the essence of the investigations. We cannot just say that all the allegations that are put out there are substantiated. The person must also defend themselves, so we need to see that happen. But the issues remain that we need to all pay attention. In the fight against corruption, we need to be very steadfast. And the commitment to do so, we need to support the institutions, but when there are questions, we need to ask them. And then we also need to ensure that our voices are heard. If we do not get heard, Our politicians, at any particular moment, have issues, they will talk about them. So the voice of civil society and the voice of interested experts in this issue must be very loud. And I am saying that if people have questions to answer, they must answer. Timing is critical. And at this point, the impressions in the minds of people is not too good. But then it is not bad that we are pursuing this. And I believe more are going to come up. And we should not in any way be thinking that because we are out of government, because they are now in government, because I'm saying because we are out, not me, but because the NPP is out of government, people are trying to find a way of witch hunting them. That is not the case. Fighting corruption, both within regime and post-regime, is critical, and we need to persecute this agenda. So if people are perceived to be witch hunted, I believe that if there are witches, certainly we must hunt them and do so very vigorously to get the results.
Anointing oil.
Because the agenda for fighting corruption must be prosecuted. And this president has signaled through oral and through, I hear he even mentioned the one for government, which would be Operation Prevent. Exactly. I heard him. I heard him during the receipt of the complaints from the oral committee. And so if the president has said so, our difficulty in the past has been more rhetoric than action. And so we want to see action. And so if action has started, we shouldn't take it lightly. We need to continue to push to see more of that happen.
Important point. You mean the security of tenure matter is something that's come up, and especially because of these cases that he is referenced in the case of Ken Ofori-Atta, the period within which these cases occurred, and why this is happening now, and then also whether or not some declarations he made are within the right frame. But let's hear on the matter of Mustafa Hamid, because I want Lawyer Tamaklo to quickly tell us a bit more detail on it, because for him, that case that he's been accused of, there wasn't much detail given by the special prosecutor, but this is what he said. Take a look.
OSP has also commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of the operations of the Minerals Income Investment Fund, MIF, especially regarding payments made in respect of Dapaa Royalties Limited. The OSP has also commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of an alleged embezzlement of 1.3 billion cedis from the Unified Petroleum Pricing Fund, UPPF, at the National Petroleum Authority, NPA.
This is why Mustafa Hamid, the former CEO of NPA, is on the wanted list of the special prosecutor. He has indicated that he is, as of the time of this press conference, yet to receive any formal invitation or notification. He's ready to assist in investigations. But, Lawyer Tamaklo, since assuming office, what have you gotten with respect to this particular 1.3 billion UPPF money that is being referenced? Just a quick one on it, then we'll take it away and come back to Ken Ofori-Atta.
So the lawyer in me tells me that you hasten slowly in this kind of conversation. I make this point because I have barely been in the office for 2 weeks now. I've taken various records and perusing it. It does appear from the conversation from the special prosecutor that this investigation even started before I got to the office. If my reasoning, based on what he's saying, is correct. So what I would do at this point is that I'll permit the SP to continue with the investigation and not make any comment for the time being that may be considered prejudicial, because some of these correspondences will be coming to me. And it is only right that you give people the benefit of a fair hearing. You understand? The benefit of a fair hearing, so that it doesn't come across that you have already formed your views about what happened. So under the circumstance, who knows? maybe where I am, the SP may even want to invite me to give some statement. So I do not want to go ahead of myself. It reminds me of an interesting instance, in the Dr. Opuni trial, which we may likely come.
Yes.
One of the first prosecution witness, when the matter was first investigated by Yoko, he gave a statement to Yoko, basically denying any involvement in it. Then subsequently, it was taken over by the police CID. Now he began changing his map because he became a the prosecution witness now. So eventually we went for the statement that he gave to Yoko as defense attorneys to now confront him under cross-examination. I don't want to be put in that situation. So for now, I wouldn't go so much into it.
Right.
The SP says they are investigating the matter. I'll leave him to exercise his statutory powers of investigation. Whatever the outcome of the investigation will be, I strongly believe that it will be put before the public.
Thank you. And that's it on the Mustafa Ahmed matter. But this is why the special prosecutor is of the view and has concluded that Ken Ofori-Atta is a fugitive of justice, which the minority and, in fact, the NPP are saying that they do not agree with it because he has not been formally charged. But this is it.
Is unconvinced that the purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Ofori-Atta through his lawyers to the OSP represents a medical report to the effect that Mr. Ofori-Atta is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. The OSP declares Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta a wanted person. He is a fugitive from justice. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. And this is to Mr. Ofori-Atta. You have two choices. You can either return to the jurisdiction voluntarily or the OSP will enforce your return. Mr. Ofori-Atta, the OSP did not raid your house on Tuesday, 11 February 2025. Our intelligence points us to state that the purported raid on Mr. Ofori-Atta's residence was staged, or at best, an imposter action in an attempt to court disfavor for the OSP and to derail the investigation.
That is a special prosecutor, and that letter that he referenced from Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers communicating that he is out of the jurisdiction, that's what you find on the screen. We have a copy of that letter, and we've called the information out. We are informed by our client, quote, that the letter dated 24th day of January 2025 was left at our client security post for his attention. Our client had been out of the country and therefore not in his home in Ghana at the time. The said letter has been brought to our attention on the instructions of our client, who is still out of Ghana. The said letter is inviting our client to attend in person at your offices on Monday, 10th February 2025 at 10 a.m. We are therefore humbly bringing to your attention that we shall give you notice of his arrival in the country so as to reschedule your invitation to him for the purposes as stated in the heading of your letter under reference. We are, however, able and willing to provide you with any information you may require to aid in your investigation until our client is back in the country for any in-person investigation outlined in the said letter. Now, the OSP says they don't agree entirely with the details of this letter. They do not want to deal with the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta. They want him in person. In fact, they don't even place so much belief and truth in the details and reasons given in this letter. People, bring you in on this. This is a matter and the issues as outlined by the OSP that you have followed as well.
Okay, abusia wene ensema ekoso ewo political highway so Cecilia Dapaa and her nensem traguno on a Ken Ofori-Atta any easy crab. But I must say, Maje Pene Kokutiza audio way at the Maya POG Media so, Madam.